Okay, while it may seem hard to accept at times, everything you are about to see is real. I've cut some of it up to make it look pretty, but none of this material has been altered or edited in order to deceive. Unlike some tabloid newspaper editors, I do not seek to frighten you with an invention. First, I would like to know if you know who said the following about the 2003 invasion of Iraq and its aftermath. You don't need to be an international diplomat to realize the world is better off without Saddam. We should be proud of what's been achieved. No, it wasn't Bush, it wasn't Blair, it wasn't Alistair Campbell or Karl Rove, it wasn't even Ann Coulter or Richard Littlejohn. No, I'm afraid it was in fact Page Street girl Zoe, then 22 from London, and well, that's what the people at The Sun claim is going on here. In reality, this opinion, this soundbite, is far more likely to be the creation of then editor Rebecca Wade/Brooks. And it's merely presented as the opinion of Zoe, 22 from London, in an attempt to influence readers with a lie. The Sun have been running mini editorials like this on Page 3 since Rebecca Wade/Brooks introduced them in late 2003. Lately, under the new editor, they make lowbrow use of highbrow quotes in an attempt to pass the exercise off as mere humour. But as you can see from these examples, the role played by the editorial remains unchanged, as does the populist tabloid politics behind it. In both styles of deployment, the alleged opinion of the model is typically in line with the lead editorial, with girls presented as the source of an informed and spontaneously voiced opinion on the latest government policy or other subject of popular debate. And here Nicola T. reminds us that we might all be speaking German if it weren't for the Americans saving our asses in World War II. For some 30 years before this change, Page 3 content consisted mainly of a small pun-filled caption on a theme of the model's alleged interests. If she worked in an office, her dictation would show us who's boss. If she'd done maths at school, her figure would be calculated to turn the boys' heads. And who were we to argue? Awful puns aside, the purpose of this detail is to allow the reader to identify with the model, and it is standard kit with most forms of glamour photography and pornography, soft or otherwise. Short write-ups next to the pictures listing the model's hobbies, interests, likes, dislikes, even turn-ons and sexual desires. Wittingly or otherwise, the typical reader will use this detail to populate their fantasy about the model, i.e. the imaginary scenario that plays out when they look at the picture and see themselves in the frame with pretty lady. Many of these intimate moments will be fleeting, and not all of them will be explicit, but almost everyone wishing to step into the picture will use the detail provided to help them achieve a degree of intimacy with the model. Under the new regime, Page 3's change in purpose alters the relationship considerably. Now the reader has to take a specific political viewpoint on board if they wish to engage with the model as anything other than an object. Because no other detail is given, any imaginary conversation with Melanie now requires some discussion of benefit-cheating scum. If you want to party with Becky, you'd best be prepared to agree with her views on the latest stamp duty threshold and what it means for first-time buyers. Now, we all know this is an absurd scenario. We do not have to assume ignorance or stupidity on the model's part to reject the idea that stamp duty thresholds are weighing on her mind as the photographer's assistant applies ice to her nipples. But it gets worse. As Peter Oborne revealed, during Blair's administration, there was proven covert collusion between The Sun and Downing Street. Often the tabloid would only pretend to spontaneously attack the government before declaring victory when it had won the concession that was agreed by both parties long in advance. Page 3 frequently played a central role in this charade, so a lot of opinion assigned to Page 3 models wasn't merely in line with the editor's thinking, but often specifically in support of government policy and even some cabinet members. This particular series of Page 3s were all about the same time as Nannygate and all heralding the good job David Blunkett was doing at the Home Office. I'm not kidding. Nothing has really changed beyond The Sun recently switching their allegiance to Cameron's Conservatives. Page 3 is still used to influence readers in the same way, even to the extent that the most popular Page 3 girl, Keely, stands as cheerleader for David Cameron. Of course, I'm not saying there's never been any opposition on Page 3. In the next slide, Bakey and Rosie show how angry they are about the rise in fuel duty. To be clear, the government of the day may seek to play this game, even to the extent of feeding soundbites to The Sun, but Page 3 is primarily about the tabloid's agenda because the models are tabloid property. So while The Sun often use Page 3 girls in their orchestrated conflicts with Downing Street, they'll just as often use them in matters of genuine conflict. Here, there's a page 3 model used in an ongoing push for an EU referendum and an end to so-called human rights laws. According to Holly, who appears to be an expert on the subject, the Rights Convention was drawn up in a post-World War II era that needs to be updated to include hanging in the birch or something. Anyway, of course, none of these models can speak with any authority on most of the things they supposedly obsess about. The only legitimate way to go about this exercise would be to find someone with relevant expertise who's in a position to offer a balanced view on the main issue of the day, contact them for their opinion, and then ask them if they wouldn't mind getting their tits out. Alternatively, the Sun might try allowing the page 3 models to speak their mind. News International have long defended page 3 on the basis of a claim that it is empowering. But if this is true, then why aren't the models allowed to use page 3 as a platform to express their own opinion on the subject of their choice? Their own opinion instead of an opinion that is assigned to them or some pathetic joke at their expense. Now, I've written a polite letter to the Sun and Sun readers asking exactly this same question. And it's designed to be printed out onto an A4 or A2 sheet of paper, ready for insertion into stray copies of the Sun, lurking abandoned on trains, in pubs and in portaloos and what have you. And I brought some copies with me, but I'll show you where you can download and print as many copies as you like in a moment. I've also created a nifty music video that attempts to get the same point across, along with a video based on the presentation you're hearing now. On most days, you can find this page very easily just by looking through the top search results for page 3, but you can also use the bit.ly link that appears on the next screen. Whoop. bit.ly/page-3. The aim of that video and this presentation is to leave you with at least enough information to motivate you to publish a link to the main project on your website or in your Twitter stream. Thank you for your kind attention. Please. Thank you. Send us link love so we can free the page 3 girls from the tyranny of their tabloid masters. Thank you. Tits out.